So as you can see, we have waited for the paint to dry and him to get good and ready for target rings. So I have put my mold of the target rings that I took before I ever started cutting, and I have cut out the 10 ring here and put a bunch of dots in here with Sharpies so that I know exactly where the lines are. So I'm going to do this side, and what I use to burn rings is one of these, just a Weller, basically a wood burning pen, and it burns very nice rings. So I'm going to do that side, but before I start cutting or before I start burning, I'm going to remove this form and turn him over and put this on the other side and do the dots. So we'll get the handy dandy pliers, take these staples out. They always staple the form of the rings so that it doesn't move around when I am basically coloring in the target lines, the kill zone lines, so that it stays nice and secure. So that's all the staples, and as you can see, just a hole. So I'm going to set my burning pan on the floor here, and now I'm going to flip him over. So I don't know if you can see where I've done the dots here, right in the 10 zone. So I'm going to flip him over and do the other side the same way. So that he has nice uniform rings. And I'm securing this form now with the staples so that I can get my Sharpie in here and give him a dotted line where the rings get burned in. And I'm using the silver one for this. Oh, looks like this is a little bit high, so I have to take the staples out and move this whole form down so that the edge of the 8 is down a little further, because right now this spot here is where the ASA 14 would go, and that's pretty high. So I'm going to take the staples out and move this down a little bit so that the kill zone is more closer to the original. Okay, so move this down. See, Rick? Let's come down just a little bit more. There we go. That's better. That's more true to the original. So now this spot will be the 10 on him, and the 8 is the bigger one here, and up here where the 14 goes, that looks way better. So we'll get the marker out and start making the lines to follow. You just do this lightly with either a silver Sharpie or a black Sharpie. And just lightly. So you have a good guide to follow when you're burning rings. So down in here where the target is a little bit lighter, I'm going to get the black Sharpie and do it that way. I'm going to use a bit of a line for this one, so that when I'm burning the rings, I can see where the line is better. There we go. So now, what I'm going to do is I will pull these staples, and then I will start burning the rings using that burning pen that I showed you. And like I said before, I always take the mold of the factory rings before I start cutting anything. That way we have a good roadmap to follow on finishing. Put that up there. And get the burning pen ready. And we'll start cutting or start burning. And these can burn pretty deep, as you can see. Nice hot pen here. So after these rings are burned, then we're going to have to give them a quick dusting of paint again, because the burn goes a little bit deeper than the top coat of the paint. And we're burning them nice and deep. And I can hear it sizzling. There. So a couple of these spots we're going to burn a little bit deeper, just so we've got really good indication of where these target lines are, or where the kill zone is. There we go. Looking back, maybe I should have burned the rings first before or just after the skin was on. But like I said, we'll just do a quick dusting of the paint blend again to get the rings back to where they should be as far as color goes. So there can see there's a good 10 ring. So I'm going to wipe this burning pen off a bit, just using this wire brush. And then put it back on the stand and flip him over and do the ones on this side. And I don't know if you can see that dotted outline, but that's where it is. So now we'll do this side. Again, go nice and deep, paying attention to the dots on where they are. And you need to apply a little bit of pressure with this burning pen to get a little bit of a deep target zone. As you can see, those rings are very, very good. Come back a bit. There, that's nice and deep. There, look at those, hey? Those are nice and deep. So now we'll go down into his grooves here. So there's a good 10 ring. It's a good shape, good size, nice and deep, and you'll be able to score the target properly. Let's go over a couple more of these areas again. Make sure that it's nice and deep. There's a 10 zone. Set the burning pen down on its guard, its rest. Now with this guy, there wasn't enough of his 11 ring left on the original to do anything with. So I'm just going to use a paint can because the diameter is quite good. And I can just make my dots around the base of this paint can, and then that'll be the 11. Maybe I'll use a smaller can, just a touch smaller. There's a good 11. Or maybe that's a little bit too small. There, that one should do. Yes, that one's better. That one's much better. Yeah, we use that one. So I'll grab my Sharpie again and make my dotted line around this paint can lid for his 11. tracing the outside of this paint can lid so I can see where the 11 is before I start cutting. So there it is right there. So that's a good thing to use. I'm going to flip him over and do the exact same on this side to give him that 11 on this side. I want to try and make sure that it's equal on both sides. There we go. So you can see the 11 on him now. So I will get the burning pen out again. And I will burn the 11s. And as with the other lines, you want to go a little bit deep. So we'll start on this axis right here and trace this like that. See how well that works? Works very well. And there's his 11. I'm going to burn that a little bit deeper over here and up top. Get a little bit deeper here and in here. And you got to wait till your paint pen or your burning pen is nice and hot so that your lines are deep enough. So there's the 11, there's the 10. So I'll flip them over and burn that 11. And the other side. There we go. That's better for visual. So again, I will burn these nice and deep. And you don't have to be an artist to do this. You just have to do it slowly and carefully. And make sure you're staying on the line. That way, as you burn it in, the line from the Sharpie gets burnt away. There. There's an 11 ring. So you go over that again. Make sure they're a little bit deep. Like I said, once these target rings are all done, then we'll give him another light dusting of the paint and they will blend right in. But the lines will still be there. They will just be a little bit harder to see, which is the whole point. Because you can't have a target with lines that are too easy. So, there's the 11, there's the 10. So I'm going to brush off the pen with the wire brush again. Get rid of any residual foam material on the burning tip. Okay, so I'm going to unplug this burning pen and let it cool down. because now I have to cut out and form the entire 8 ring on him using this form. So now I'm going to cut this part out and do it that way. So as you can see, the 10 lines up, and this is the 8. And the 8 goes down into here. So what I'm going to do is cut this part away and make my dots on the outside of this 8 line, and keep this one on so that it lines up with the 10 that's already there. So get our scissors and cut out this 8 line just on the outer margin. So that we've got a good form to work with. And you always need to take a form like this of those factory rings before you start cutting. And any benchmarks on the target, like I've done with this one, that says Edge Wolf, so that you know where the form goes when you're ready to do the rings. So get rid of those. And we'll line this up like that, so that it matches the contours of the 10. There we go. Yes, just like that. So I'm going to staple these in place. Got to make sure it lines up. And then make your staples strategically so that you can trace around the edge where the 8 goes. So once I've done it down to here, then I will take these staples out and push it down into his groove here. There. So get out the handy dandy silver Sharpie and just do a dotted line on the outer perimeter of the form so that I can see where the rings are supposed to go. Down into here. And up along this edge. So we've got a good guide to follow with the burning pen. So now I've dotted the line all around this perimeter. And for the part down here, I better get out the black one so that it shows up better. Just like that. Just like that. Down into here, into the groove a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to take these staples out and secure it down here in his perimeter. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. I can just continue on the dotted line down into his perimeter or down into his groove so that it meets up with the one that's there. And it does. So now I'm going to pull those staples and flip them over and do the other side. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm using just thin gauge staples and not the super heavy duty ones. So now his 8 ring has got all the dots on it so that I can use the burning pen to get the proper 8 zone. And down in here, got to be fairly careful to follow the dotted line because it does go down to the top of his shoulder and down into his guts here. And it's a fairly big 8 on this guy. So now I'm going to flip him over and do the same on the other side. We'll get our form. And just like that. So I'm going to staple this down in a few spots just so that it doesn't move around. Oh, I'm out of staples. Okay. I think I can just dot this line the way it is because I've got a couple staples in there. So I'm just going to dot the line. When it comes to this part, just take your time so that you're doing it properly and not rushing anything. Because some of these targets have fairly big zones on them for the kill rings, kill shots, or the kill zones. And you want to try and make sure that you've got a good kill zone here before you let loose the troops to fill them full of holes. So I've dotted the outside. I'm going to dot a little bit more down on this axis here before I get the black marker out. Now remember, I've said, I think before, this process always takes me longer than I think it's going to. But with anything craft related, of course it takes longer than you think it's going to. Because there's multiple steps involved. And you want to do it so that your end result is something that you're happy with. And something you'll enjoy looking at and shooting at. So I'm going to draw a bit down in here to get a good continuous line. There. And then we'll down into this gully here. Down into his contours. There we go. Now we've got a good continuous line to burn his 8. So I will remove these staples, take the form off, and see what we've got. And there's the line. Big line, but there it is. So now I'm going to plug the paint or the burning pen back in, get it nice and hot again before I start using it again. So now he's got a pretty close to factory set of kill zone rings that will be identifiable when people are shooting at him. Yeah, and you can see from what I've done already that those lines they look pretty good. So we'll just give that burning pen a bit to heat up. Because as you can see, where I'm tracing my finger, that is the outside of the 8 line on this particular target. So it is fairly big. So this will be a bit of a longer process. And these are nice and deep, and once it's dusted again with the paint, because what I'm going to do is dust it with the brown, and then dust it with the black, and then dust it with the white, so that it will blend with the rest of the target on both.